Thanks everyone for joining this session. We will just wait for 2 more minutes and we'll officially start. We're just waiting for more audience to join the Zoom. So thank you so much for your patience. We will start in 2 minutes. Thank you. And in the meantime, if there's any question, please leave your message on the chat box and we will reply to you. Thank you. 好，那个大家，谢谢大家来参加这一场，我们会再等大概2分钟，我们就会正式开始。然后我们下方有口译的功能，所以等一下如果你想要听中文的观众，那就请你们点开下方的口译的功能，点选中文，我们会有口译老师帮你做翻译。谢谢大家，我们大概2分钟后就开始。And all the speakers, if you're online right now, I will invite you to turn on your camera so our audience can see who you are, and you can see if that's the blue background, that's the staff from the Garden of Hope Foundation, and thank you so much. Okay, so I think we'll just wait for 1 more minute and we will going to start. Thank you so much. Okay, so thanks everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. As our audience are from all over the world, I'm your host and moderator of this CSW session, Patty Chen, and I'm responsible for Asian Girls campaign, which is supported by the Garden of Hope Foundation. Today, thanks so much for your participation in this early session, which is even earlier than the orientation of CSW itself. Please give applause to all of you. Thank you for being here with me. Whether it's night or super early, you guys are great. So a few reminders before we officially start. Firstly, this session will be conducted in English, but we offer Mandarin translation. So please use the world icon on the button if you need the service. 请大家如果需要口译功能的话，就点选下面的地球图示，你可以选择要听中文或是英文。Also, we encourage you to post your questions about the topic or speaker's presentation. Please leave your question in the chat box, and we will invite the speakers to answer during the final Q&A session. So if you have questions, don't worry, just leave your message on the chat box, and we will try to get back to you at the final. Yeah. And now, please allow me to briefly introduce this session. Today, we have invited 6 speakers to talk about the topic, social media movements to change Asian girls' future. We are all aware of the influence of Me Too movement that has successfully brought sexual offenders to court and really drew people's attention to these issues. From this, social media has once again shown its power to influence the public and shaping its role in the future. But how will social media movements change the future of Asian girls, where patriarchal cultures are still widely entrenched? Therefore, the Garden of Hope Foundation is honored to invite Asian girls who have successfully used social media to speak out for themselves, organizations working on female empowerment, the private sector that use social media to promote gender equality, and one of the most influential social media platforms to discuss how social media could accelerate the pace of gender equality. And first, we'd like to invite Ms. Wang Yuehao, the Chief Officer of the Garden Hope Foundation, to say a few words to us. So, 月豪姐。
Hello， 各位线上的贵宾、讲师及各位女士先生，大家早安、午安、晚安，我是王月好，仅代表励馨基金会欢迎各位参与由亚洲女孩培力计划所举办的 NGO CSW 67 论坛。如主持人刚才所说，Me Too 的运动，它仅用短短的一天，就让470万人在1200万条的状态中提到该标签。而在美国，Me Too 运动更让政治人物、媒体名人，还有电影大亨，接连遭到性骚扰、性侵害的指控，付出代价。这项的一个成果见证了社群媒体运动能为性别平权议题带来的巨大的一个影响力。根据估计，到2027年，全球有83亿的人口，将有高达70%的社群媒体使用者。脸书、Twitter、IG 或者是抖音将会成为全世界无论年龄跟族群，在接收新资讯、发表意见、关系建立与维系的一个主要的管道。而现今18到30岁的年轻族群，更是社群媒体的主要使用者。这当然自然而然的成为许多女孩在为自己发声，并减少数位性别落差时的一个最佳选择。然而，在父权文化根深蒂固的一个亚洲，父权的运动的推行一直困难重重，加上面对言论管制相对严格的政府，保持沉默更是亚洲社会的一个常态。在社群媒体被广为运用在各项的商业跟其他活动的时候，励馨基金会跟各位一样，我们想要更深入的了解这个新兴的倡议管道能替亚洲带来什么样新的影响力，培力组织、企业乃至于个人又能够如何的去运用社群媒体来为女孩权益发声，甚至改变亚洲女孩的未来。今天我们很荣幸可以邀请到运用社群媒体为性别议题及女孩发声的第10届亚洲女儿奖 Changemaker 团体奖得主蒙古 Inside Out 女孩团体，来自印度的 Breakthrough 组织、尼泊尔 Yuva 及马来西亚 Sister in Islam， 分享他们对当地亚洲社群媒体性别运动的一个观察，及如何发起社群运动为女孩倡议，以及我们也很开心可以由善于媒体力量发挥社会影响力的跨国企业 P&G 宝桥家品，以及致力于培力女性取得网络使用权及网络安全的社群媒体脸书的一个代表，来与我们一起探讨如何善用社群媒体来加快性别平权的脚步。最后再次欢迎各位线上的一个参与贵宾，以及感谢今天所有的讲师，希望大家都能够从今天的交流中学习到更多宝贵的一个经验，一起来建立一个性别平等的一个社会。在此预祝大家平安健康，谢谢。
Thanks, Ms. Wang. And now, because this is a webinar, so you couldn't see our audience, but I would like to really briefly introduce our speakers. So if I call your name, please wave your hand to our audience so they don't ask you. So we have inside our team from Mongolia. Hi, Andre. Hi, so you can see this is our 2022 Asian Girls Award winner. And then we have Asta Subedi from Yuva. She's the vice president. Hi. So you can see that's Asta. And then we have Siafik from Sisters in Islam. Okay, thank you. And then we have Japani from the Breakthrough India. Thank you, Japani. And then we have Vanessa from the P&G Hong Kong and Taiwan. Thanks. And then finally, we have Cindy Southworth from Meta. It's super early for her. Thank you, Cindy, for joining us. Yeah, good. So I think now the session officially starts. Our first speaker is inside our team. The 4 girls are the 2022 Asian Girls Award winner in the Changemaker category for their passion to transgender stereotypes in Mongolia. They talk about relationships, the society they want to live in, and they also include boys' opinions in the video they made for the Girls' Voice project. Besides, they have published posts about the menstrual cycle, girls' rights, and stories of powerful women in history, and how to take ownership of their lives. Let's welcome inside our team. So, Wendra, do you want to control the slides from your side?
Excuse me, can you Tell it again.
Sorry. Do you want to manage the slides from your side, or do you want us to show your slide?
Oh, I think it would be best for you to share my slide.
Okay, just a minute. I think you can start. So just remind you, because my colleague is helping you to control the slide. So please remind us when it's going to the next slide, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. There you go.
So hello everyone, my name is Inhundes. I am from Mongolia, as you know, and I am the today's representative speaker from our team Inside Out. Okay, so our project name is Girls Voice. Next slide, please. So here is our team members, and Lemung, Inhtoya, Inhundes, myself, and Ansik, and here as you shown in this picture, you can see ourselves. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is our project introduction. This project is a project of Inside Out team of the participants of Girls' Leadership Program of 2022 of the Princess Center to present the views of girls to the community called Girls' Voice and to correct stereotypes about girls in Mongolian society. Next slide, please. Okay. 100 girls, I can't see the top part, so 100 girls, and the result was, although everyone know gender stereotypes and equalities in the society, there are hardly anyone to help or any content that educates in the children, and we actually got results and questionnaires and interviewed children and got these results. That is why we aim to make contents of the project online, convey much needed education about inequality and rights, and reach teenagers about crucial information. Sorry, I can't see the full presentation in my screen, so please wait for me a few seconds and I will read it from my phone. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, here are the first process of our 3 videos called Girls' Voice. And here are our team members, and here the students participated in the first 3 videos. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, in our first video called Precious Relationship in Our Thoughts, teenage boys and girls shared their relationship problems with their parents and peers and urged them to value healthy relationships. We started our first contents topic with teenage relationship because of this simple thing. It caused a lot of kids to deal with depression, unwanted pregnancies, and a lot of harmful traumas that caused very difficult problems. This video has about 4,000 views, 138 reactions, and reached to almost 20,000 people. Next slide, please. Okay, the second video is called The Pressure-Free Society We Want. And with our survey, we collected that every 4 of 5 girls experienced public sexual harassment. So in order to alarm girls and boys and educate them, we made this video that interview teenage children and heard about their voices and their opinion about how these whole things and very harmful cases in Mongolian society. And this video has 4,100 views, almost 100 reactions, and reached over 16.8 thousand people. Next slide, please. Okay, in our last video, in this video, we showed how only boys understand women and how they go against the stereotypes placed on women in order to break the basic understanding among society. This content has the most views, and we hope that more people's wrong beliefs got broken by our video. this video has this many views and this many reactions and reached almost 72,000 people. Okay, next slide, please. Here are project result. Our first target was to reach 300 people and get 100 followers and advisor figures. But after our content making, the results achieved was the total number of duplicates reached 141,000 people and got 1,494 followers and connected with 144 girls via Messenger. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here are our present project, and we divided our present project into new videos and Let's Talk event. And in the new videos section by our current project, we made 3 videos about sex education, puberty changes. We tried our best to educate teenagers about some crucial information in the teenage years. In the Let's Talk event section, we made an event about teenage changes and mental health with 40 kids and 2 speakers. And one of them is sex coach and psychologist who helped us to understand lots of useful information to, for difficulties we had when we were in the teenage years. Next slide, please. Okay, as you can see here, we recorded our videos by our phone so we can save a lot of money. And here are kids who helped us to make the videos. Next slide, please. Okay, here are some pictures of our event. And as you can see here, these 2 women are our event's main speakers, and surrounding here's the kids who participated in our Let's Talk event. Next slide, please. Okay, about more information about our current project, we choose to use Facebook as our main platform to post our videos because most teenage kids use Facebook nowadays. Using videos to reach our information is the most convenient way because social media content reaches most people, and we actually made a survey about it. And by making like entertainment content on Facebook, got a lot of views. So in order that it reaches a lot of people. Lots of kids reach out to us and ask questions about their situations, like we had difficulties in our classmates, or how I got my first period, or like I have just broken with my boyfriend, what do you do? So a lot of mental health and physical health questions in teenagers, and we tried our best to help them. Next slide, please. Okay, things we learned by our previous and current project is the first one is teamwork and how to make a project and content creating. During this project, we gained a lot of new experiences and were able to affect thousands of girls, which was the biggest achievement for us. And we found the motivation to positively influence many girls in the future to Mongolian society or even in the world society too. So here is our end of the presentation. So thank you for paying attention. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Inside team. Thanks for your inspiring presentation. And then let's welcome our next speaker, Asta Subedi. Hi, Asta, can you wave your hands so everyone can see you? Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so Asta is the vice president of UWA, a youth-run nonprofit in Nepal. She studied her undergraduate in public health and is passionate about bringing changes through grassroots mobilization. UWA's work centers around 3 main themes: sexual and reproductive health and rights, active citizenship and Center for Youth Studies. And the organization is led by an executive body, all age between 16 and 29. So let's welcome our staff. So please go ahead.
Yes. Hi, everyone. There is this dark mark in the slide. I think it will go. I'll continue anyway. Greetings, everyone. Namaskar. Thank you so much for being here today. And today I'll be talking about how Yuva has institutionalized youth movement in Nepal, channelizing the actions and thus contributing to gender equality by using social media. Next slide, please. So Yuva is a Nepali word which translates to youth in English. Back in 2009, a group of committed and passionate youth, after seeing the perpetual manipulation and tokenism around the youth, around the youths and youth issues, decided to implement meaningful and inclusive youth participation in Nepal. Because there was a necessity of youth movement for change in the country. Youth can only fulfill their roles as an agent of change by being at the forefront of decision making and implementation. And Yuva was that initiation for youth fighting and working for youth, including other issues, but not limited to just gender equality, but focusing on gender equality at the moment. To channelize the action and keep the movement intact, adapting to changing needs and the changing context of the world, it was necessary that the social media must be used. So Yuva is in various social media platforms. So moving ahead, next slide, please. We target the youths from these major social media platforms. A few of them are here. Instagram, TikTok, we send them monthly newsletters. Then there is Facebook, there is Twitter, there is Viber community, and also YouTube. We also are on LinkedIn. So Yuva adheres to two major principles when it comes to social media strategy. The first one of them is understanding its target audience and tailoring content to meet their specific needs, which is also known as knowing your audience. This requires careful analysis of the demographics and preference of the audiences in the question. The second one is flexibility. We recognize the importance of remaining flexible in order to adapt to the generational context, which keeps on changing. So this involves staying up to date with the emerging trends and technologies, and we also monitor the shifts in the attitudes and behaviors of the target audience. So by prioritizing these principles, Yuva is able to effectively channelize the youth movement in Nepal and contribute to gender equality. And we keep in account the intersectional identities of the youth while we do that. Slide 4. So next slide, please. In the context of Nepal, Facebook and TikTok are the most used platform, and you can also see the text here. Instagram is very popular among the youths. Business, CSOs, CVOs, and influencers use it to promote their products and services. Also, social media is increasingly used for political activism, social awareness, and mobilizing these protests and movements in the country. The social media which are used in mobilizing protests and movements are Facebook and Twitter. So YouTube is also a go-to platform for education and entertainment, and it is very easy to get the mobile phone and communication medium in Nepal these days. So a lot of people are engaged in social media. And yes, next slide, please. So it is also worth noting that over half of the population of the country, almost 51.6%, has access to internet, and reminding you that vast majority of them use at least one form of social media. Given that the majority of this population comprise of the youth, social media platform serve as the most effective and efficient means to channelize the movement in the country for our desired objective. So as such, Yuva has leveraged social media channels to enhance youth movement and promote gender equality in the country. So we follow three major strategies, which is in the next slide. So there are three of this. The first one is awareness. We aware the youths. The second one is engagement. We engage youth by using various methods and medias. And the third one is advocacy for our cause and to reach the purpose. So moving on, next slide. You can see a lot of the recent posts relating to awareness in here. So the first one is people are often confused about using the words survivor or victim. We made a social media post on that. The second one is violence cannot be justified because why? The post gives the information about that. So the third one is a short clip where the information is given that the advocacy message is that you cannot say that clothes is equal to consent because it's not, So it is a very short clip and we wanted to give that information because youth want, including myself, I want my dopamine to be released very fast. That's why people use TikTok a lot and we realize that. So it's just a video of a clip of 6 seconds. So here is this picture of the participant where she says rape came before short dresses. So this is also the important message we wanted to give the youth. So the other one you can see here is the iceberg. The iceberg phenomenon of sex education, what people think sex education actually is and what actually is comprised under sex education. The message is given here. And the other one is here, which attracts today's youth so that we can give them the message and within the medium and methods they like. Next slide, please. So for the sake of the engagement, we have a lot of the celebrity champions. Like in this, the first one is the snapshot of our TikTok video, and he is one of the celebrities from Nepal who makes this amazing TikTok videos. We had millions of engagement in this, including almost 30K or plus likes. Here, he is giving the information about how gender identity is crucial and how the acceptance is crucial. This is also our way of promoting our message. This, if you go down, you can see the Facebook sign up snapshot. This is also about the gender identity, how custom gender identity is the option in the Facebook and how people in Nepal are not using it and are not aware about this. So we are giving our message by engaging the youth because they are going to watch the celebrity champion more. The engagement will be more than any normal person making the video. So also to target the youths, we launched a lot of quiz contest. This was launched this year on the occasion of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So we asked them questions. Now they are commenting, they're liking our page, they are engaged with us, and at the same time we are giving them information about a lot of other things which are our advocacy messages. So the third one you can see is Yubako Jigyasa, which translates to the opinion of youth. This is our another way of engaging youth. So we ask them questions, they give their opinion on the comment section, and then we take that opinion, we analyze it, and we intervene where necessary, or we carry the message forward if possible. So the next one you can see is about 1 billion raising. In here, what we did was, this is the recent post because it is ongoing action. So we hit whatever is the contextual message and we engage the youth there. The last one you can see is of the comic strip. So youths like this kind of content. So we make this kind of content so that we can engage them. Next one, please. Next slide. So we hit the agendas for advocacy using the content that is desirable for the youths. So you can see some of the strong statement and demands made from our side, representing the CSOs of the country in here. We are asking them about the equality, affordable, accessible services. We are asking government to take in account that the intersectional identities of the youth. We are giving them recommendation about for the APF Festive Forum, and we are also saying them that world might stop during the pandemic, but women's right will not and should not. So these are our advocacy messages via social media. So moving on, next slide. Despite the huge success and reach, there are some of the challenges that we face on a regular basis. One of them is the lack of digital awareness. People are not aware that there are digital channels and they are not aware how to use it. And the next one is among the people, there is the huge disparity giving rise to the digital divide. So some people have the access, some people does not. And another one is one of the major strength of the Yuva is that we adopt to the changing need. But another one linking to this is that it is very difficult to adopt to the changing need because it keeps on changing pretty fast. And that is one of our challenges. The other one is a cycle of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And we try our best to control it, but the government mechanisms should also be strengthened on that in that regard. So the last slide. These are the snippets of the insights. So during the last year, our Facebook page reach has increased by as much as 814%, and the Instagram reach has increased by 670%, which is very huge. And here are some good comments from our audience, and we try to do what we do by using various methods and medias, and one of them is social medias. And yes, you can also be the part and subscribe us in our different social media channel and keep updated with Yuva. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Asta, for your inspiring presentation. Then now let's welcome our next speaker. Our next speaker is Siafi Fikri. So Siafi, can you wave your hands to the audience? Yeah, so this is our next speaker. Siafi, she is the legal officer from Sisters in Islam. It's an organization based in Malaysia that works towards advancing rights of Muslim women. The vision is to be a progressive and democratic society that upholds freedom of expression, gender equality, and social justice for all. They would like to be recognized as a national and global leader for gender equality and justice in Islam. Let's welcome Safik. But very quickly, I would like to make a very quick announcement because we have figured out the audience could not leave the message on the chat, but you can use the question function. So if you have any question, please leave on the question part. Thank you so much. And sorry for interruption, Safik. And there you go. Our colleague is going to play your slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the organizer for inviting me to this session, and I would like to say I'm excited and so happy to meet the other speakers as well. So my part today, I will focus on the social media campaign for gender equality. But before I start, I would like to share with you guys and our audience around the world about some new good news about gender equality here in Malaysia. Okay, firstly, last year, Malaysia has passed the bill for anti-sexual harassment bill in Malaysia. So the implementation will be implemented in different phases. More news on that. Okay, and secondly, this year on February, the campaign for context, in Malaysia, in the law, especially in the federal constitution, it is mentioned that the father, if were to marry a foreigner, he can pass the citizenship to his children, but the mothers cannot pass her Malaysian citizenship to her children. So last month, the Malaysian cabinet had decided to pass an amendment to the federal constitution that finally allowing these women, this Malaysian mother, to pass their citizenship to his son or his daughter. So that's just a little bit good news from the Malaysian side for in terms of gender equality. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so today I'm gonna focus on two campaigns that Sisters in Islam personally advocating. So in terms of the first campaign is the child marriage. Okay, so how do we come about the child marriage campaign? Okay, on 2018, we have been shocked by this news about this 40-year-old man has been married an 11-year-old girl in Thailand. So if you ask me why does the marriage take place outside of Malaysia? Okay, so in terms of context of law, in order for you to marry someone under the age of 16, you have to have some sort of written permission from the courts itself. So that's why the marriage has been solemnized outside of Malaysia. Because to avoid prosecution or the unnecessary procedure by the court itself. So the background of this story is that the man previously has 2 wives and has 6 children, and one of his children actually friends with his 3rd wife, which is at the time, so it's quite shocking to us. So next slide. So upon hearing this news, all the NGOs, individuals, and stakeholders come together and say, we have to do something. Personally, for sisters in Islam, we were quite taken aback because we are aware child marriage is not a new issue, but when this news broke out on the national level, we are in a way, we say enough is enough, let's do something about it. So in the law itself, so for context, Malaysia has 2 separate laws that govern its people. So if you're a Muslim, such as myself, you are abided under the law called the Sharia law. But if you're a non-Muslim or non-Muslim people, you are, the law that governs you is called the civil law. Okay, so what are the role of social media in the child marriage campaign? So the first thing we started a simple thing. It's called a hashtag called pelajar bukan pengantin. It means students are not right. So how does this hashtag come together? We say we specifically demand targeted this type of campaign to avoid school children to get married. We don't want these children at the very young age who hasn't finished her education to get married. So this kind of campaign, firstly, we targeted with different teamwork and coalition with different NGO. We started mobilizing. So how do we mobilize? So this specific NGO in Malaysia who has worked with children, so they started the grassroots engagement with these children. So we also talking about different individuals who were joined in this coalition called Pelajar Bukan Pengantin. So what she did was, she was this former president of the Girl Scouts in Malaysia. So what she did, she takes all these Girl Scouts, so she was doing a session with them. She was explaining to them, okay, these are the type of campaign that we need to do in order to raise awareness against these school children that this thing is still happening as well. So one of the things that we do, we engage with the school children, community level, ministry level. So the reason that the campaign has taken the new height is also we need to address the political influence as well. What do I mean by that is in 2018, the opposition finally became the government. So at the time of the change of the government, we also asked the government to be accountable to this issue. We engage with these different members of parliament, what are you gonna do with this types of issue as well? So we wanted how the current government accountable. Okay, so this issue is at your doorstep. What are you gonna do about this as well? So at the time, the current women's ministry have taken seriously this issue. So at the time, we have the bigger opportunity to engage with them. So not only the members of parliament, we also have the opportunity to engage with the state level assembly as well. So that is very important. In terms of mobilization, not only we're talking about physical mobilization, we also talk about social media mobilization, which it is so important. So this campaign is designed to let everyone, individual at different young age and background, to participate, because child marriage issue doesn't only affect a certain type of race or background or community. It kind of affects all community, different race and different background as well. So next slide. Okay, so the impact, the campaign gained a huge traction on multiple levels thanks to the effort made by different stakeholders. As I mentioned before, if the individual have a better connection with a certain MPs, state assembly member, so we use that opportunity to engage with them to address this issue. And it's so important also that the Selangor state ruler at this time, the Sultan, has specifically addressed the issue during the state assembly meeting. So he was present in the state assembly meeting, so which he said that he concerned about this type of issue of the girls married under age. So, and then the state assembly have proposed to raise the minimum age for girls to marry from 16 to 18. Okay, since up to 2002, only 2 states have raised the minimum age for girls from 16 to 18. That is Selangor State and Kedah State. The other 12 states has not taken action or initiative to amend this law, because when we talk about Sharia law itself is on the virtue of the state ruler at the time. So if you are sultan of the specific state, the Islamic law is under your jurisdiction as well. Okay, all right. So under this, one of the ways, one of the effect or the implications that we have engaged with the Women Ministry at the time, they have published a guideline called National Strategic Plan in Handling the Causes of Child Marriage. So from our part itself, we have continued research and published different material for child marriage, which is child marriage in relation with religion, culture, and patriarchy as well. Next slide. Okay, for the second campaign, this is more on our organizational level. So what this is sees more intimate and personal view on female genitalia mutilation. So what does female genitalia mutilation means? It means that the removal of external female genitalia, others injuries to female genital organs for non-medical reasons. So in conjunction to the UN, the International Day of Zero Tolerance for FGM, we have also launched a social media campaign to educate the audience about the practice of female genital mutilations. Okay, next slide. Okay, so what tools that we use on this campaign, Zero Tolerance for FGM? This is, firstly, we use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We also didn't forget about the print media, which is local newspaper and news hub as well. So the important thing is that we want to raise the awareness of the practice of FGM that is still practiced in Malaysia. Secondly, to address myths and misconception about FGM itself. Okay, next slide. Okay, so our campaign does not only talk about social media campaign, we talk about engagement and publication, we talk about the online seminar, talks and conference on the FGM itself, so engagement with different stakeholders, fathers and religious authority, as well as we also publish our own publication on FGM with the recognition in local university here in Malaysia. So I think in terms of social media campaign, we often incorporate the elements of social media because it is cannot be denied that is one of the important ways of the current young generation to find and seek information on certain type of issue. So that's all from my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siapik. I feel like your presentation is very touching, and we have already seen a lot of questions from audience, but we'll wait till a Q&A session, and so you can answer to them. And then we are going to invite our next speaker. Our next speaker is Shribani. Shribani, could you please wave to our audience? Thank you so much. She works with Breakthrough India. It's an organization working towards shifting norms that lead to violence and discrimination against women and girls. She looks after digital strategy, communication, and positioning for Breakthrough India in a digital space. She has delivered talk at RightsCon 2021 and SBCC 2022 to forward the agenda of bystander intervention as a tool to address harassment against women and girls in online and offline spaces. So let's welcome Shribani. And my colleague is going to show your slides for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. And thank you. I would like to thank you. Thank Garden of Hope Foundation for giving me this opportunity. And it's really a pleasure to share this stage with such an amazing panelist here today, present here today. I'd like to take a minute to share about Breakthrough's work. So we are an organization working on shifting gender norms that perpetuate violence against women and girls. We work with adolescents and youth, and our main goal is to inspire, young girls, to fight for their rights by catalyzing, leadership in communities and building a larger movement around it, to change some deep brutal cultural, norms that perpetuate these kind of violence. Along with, engaging with adolescents and youth, we also engage with their families and communities. And as well as we use media campaigns, art and pop culture to, to have a conversation around gender-based violence and gender and women's rights. So when addressing, next slide, please. Sorry, Christy. Can you go to the third slide, please? Third slide. Sorry, this is the first slide. Yeah, okay, thank you. So, when addressing violence against women and girls, one of Breakthrough's core focus has been always on the, the power of bystander intervention within homes and outside. So through our past campaigns, Ring the Bell, which is also better known as Bell Bajao or Ignore No More, we engaged with bystanders, especially boys and men, to on their role as bystanders. But what we have also realized, during our campaign, while running these campaign, what we have also realized is that it's far easier to ask people to, to intervene or to take action. So we wanted to dig deeper, like, so if we are going to, influence bystanders that we want to impact through our work or our conversations or campaigns, we have to talk about something very basic, which is their understanding of gender-based violence. Secondly, we wanted to also understand, what motivates some people to risk their life and intervene while others, just look away. So, next slide, please. So we undertook a research study, to decode bystander behavior. Like, what are the behaviors of bystanders? What motivates them, right? And that's how. And we did this survey. We did this research in the 4 metro cities in India, and also 6 of our intervention communities which consisted both male and female participants. So one of the insights, from our research says how, subtle forms of violence, for example, let's say catcalling, right, are so normalized in the society that it's like no one figures out that it's a problem. And others who were part of the FGDs also shared like their inadequacy to intervene, in spite of knowing that it's a problem. And many young men, they shared how, they hesitated to intervene only because they thought that, they will be questioned or it might backfire them for, helping out a woman who is not known to them. And one of the female participants also shared like how race from her past trauma was one of the factors that motivated her to, intervene and take action. And I would really like to take this opportunity to share one of such stories that came across, during our research. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so this is Amit. He is from a city called Kolkata in India. So one day Amit was, traveling in an auto, which is basically like a tuk-tuk, along with two or a couple of more male passengers in the tuk-tuk. So 5 minutes into the journey, he notices a female, passenger onboarding the auto, and she sits right next to the driver. And from where Amit was sitting, he could clearly see how the driver was, using his elbow to, basically touch her breast. And also he was using excuses of, the road being not, good or smooth to, and inappropriately he kept on trying to touch her. So, and that's where like Amit realized that it's not at all right. Whatever is happening right in front of him is not right. So even though his destination hadn't come, what he asked the driver to stop the tuk-tuk, and then he went to the female passenger to check if she is interested to exchange his seat with her, which she happily accepted, of course. But what happens next is also, I think is one of the reasons why people don't intervene. So when this exchange of seats happened, the driver gave Amit a very dirty look, and it almost came to a point where he would beat Amit up for doing this, for intervening, for interrupting, right? So, but then Amit was confident because that route was familiar to him, and he knew most of the auto drivers in that route. And that's why he figured out that if something goes out of his hand, he will be able to, handle the situation. So these and like more such stories came up, during our research. And those were really amazing stories that tells about like how you don't need to be, you don't need to know that person. It just comes from within, that people started intervening in situations of, even if those are violent situations, people started intervening. So next slide, please. So with these insights around, bystander behavior, we launched our 360-degree campaign called Dakhaldo, which literally means like, Dakhaldo is a Hindi term in India, and it literally means, intervene, right? So as you can see on the screen, this is, he's a very famous actor in India. His name is Rajkumar Rao. So he was part of our campaign. He has been, vocal about talking about bystander intervention and each of our role in intervening and to curb, violence against women. Through this campaign, we wanted to shift, the current norm is people not intervening, right? So through this campaign, we wanted to create a norm where intervening becomes the new norm. And the campaign also calls upon people to, take a collective action, because it's really dangerous to intervene in some situations. It's scary to, so we also keep in mind that it's the safety of the bystander needs to be, kept in mind. So through this campaign, we also wanted to influence and motivate people to share more of such stories, so that more and more people have the, the motivation or the, the social approval that intervening is the right thing to do, right? And that's where we, called out for stories, and we received around 40 to 50 stories where people share their personal stories of intervention. And as part of this campaign, we also started a petition with Change.org that basically asked the Delhi government in India to recognize bystander intervention, so that more and more people are, their actions are acknowledged. And I think currently we're able to garner more than 50,000 signatures on the petition, and we hope to reach more and more people in the coming days and months that we will be talking about on. And so Yeah, so one of the I wanted to show the films here today, but since I have a really poor network, it would have been great to share the films that we created on bystander intervention. But I can share those films later here on the chat, for you to have a look. But Chrissy, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so if you see, it says, the power of the young, right? One very pertinent question that is still relevant, even though we are already into the campaign, is how do we measure? Let's say people are sharing stories, but how do we measure that there is a change in behavior or there is a change in attitude, right? So at Breakthrough, we believe, that change begins with young people. And under this campaign, what we did, we partnered with Right to Be. Previously, then they were known as Hollaback and Laurel Paris, to train more and more young people on 5Ds. 5Ds. 5Ds is basically different methods of bystander intervention, to specifically when it comes to street harassment. And 5Ds are basically distract, delegate, document, direct, and delay. So not necessarily every time you directly intervene a violent situation. You can also, if you can also delay. You can also think of delaying the scene to turn very violent, or you can also document if something is happening right in front of you. You can also document and maybe share with the help in reporting later once you feel like it's safe for you and the bystander to report, right? So as we put our young mind, hope on our young minds to lead the future, our conversation, with young people have always been a sustained one. Recently, I have been, as part of our campaign, I have been in touch with a lot of young people from Delhi and Lucknow in India, to understand, their idea about gender-based violence, or what kind of platform, social media platform they are into, or what kind of content, social media content or pop culture content they consume. And one such, experience really resonated even after my interaction. So this young person shares how it's really scary to intervene, and also that will be the last thing one would like to do. But this young person also shared how it's better to intervene than to just to see whatever is happening right in front of you. I think that's the breakthrough moment for me. I mean, even if we are able to change one person to think in that line, I think our job is done in the sense like reaching out to more and more people. And we are into the second year of this campaign, and we really want to understand how behavior change can be done through online and offline interaction. And thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for listening. Bye.
Thanks so much, Shubhani. And it's good to know that you are still working on this project. We hope to hear more about the updates. And then everyone, we are going to welcome our next speaker. Our next speaker is Vanessa Zhang from PNG, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Hi, Vanessa, can you wave your hand to everyone? Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, and she's the communication director and head of corporate citizenship. Vanessa is a passionate advocate for corporate citizenship. She built her diverse profession and mastery across dimensions in communications throughout her 13 years working for PNG. She is currently leading both the organization and brands to create shared values and positive impact with joint efforts from employees, retailers, partners, and community. So there you go, Vanessa.
Thank you, Patty. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Well, after hearing so many great sharings by our NGO partners, I just feel so inspired and moved. And I would like to share some of what we are doing right now as the world's leading communicators, marketers, and also advertisers, how we work with the partners and communities to create a positive impact and also advocate for the gender equality. So today I want to share some golden cases that we are doing under the Whisper. Our mother brand in global is called Always. So I believe that in Asia, many of you heard of these feminine caring brands before. So next slide, please. So as what Patty just introduced, I'm the communication directors for P&G Hong Kong and Taiwan. I've been working for P&G for around 13 years. So I have very strong passion for corporate citizenship. So basically, I lead my corporate and also the brand to develop different citizenship programs, whether it's under community impact or under the equality and inclusion, and also under the environmental sustainability. So today, I would like to share with you what we have done on Whisper brand. So next slide, please. So Whisper brand is also called Always in our global other markets. So Whisper brand is not just a brand for providing superior feminine product to women and females and girls, but we also a brand that we care about all women and girls' power, confidence. So one of our brand purpose is that we want to make sure that no one loses their confidence because of their gender or their period. So over the past years, Whisper or Always have been launching several campaigns to empower the girls and women's confidence. So next slide, please. So one of our most significant epic probably is Like a Girl campaign. And I believe many of you heard of this campaign before. Let me ask you a question. When people say that you do something like a girl, do you think that is a compliment or insult? And actually, according to our research, we found that only 19% of female will feel that like a girl, they will have positive connotation regarding this phrase. And also 72% of girls, they do feel there are some sort of social limitations to them. So for this campaign in 2014, Always want to redefine what does the like a girl mean. We want to break the stereotypes and we want to transform the phrase like a girl into a more positive. It means that the girl could be unstoppable. They could be their authentic self. They could be very brave to chase whatever they want to chase. So this is our first epic that we launched in 2014. And however, how we can further amplify this campaign to the local market, which is in Taiwan and Hong Kong. Next slide, please. Okay, so in Taiwan, we actually further deep dive into the local insight. You know what? In Taiwan, averagely every teenagers, they have 3.8 social accounts. And most of them, especially girls, they feel more anxious and they tend to lose their confidence because of using social media. For example, they receive negative comments. They think they are not good enough comparing with other girls showing off on social media. So based on this local consumer insight, we create a social media campaign to encourage girls to be themselves. And they don't need to compare with other girls as long as they have the confidence to be themselves and to chase their dreams. So let's take a look at the video. Please play the video for me. There's an English subtitle in the bottom, so there should be no problem for you to read the video.
Hello， 大家好，我今年16岁，
我13岁。
我的梦想呢，我想成为一个唱跳歌手，
全能的表演者。
我通常都是花30到40分钟去玩社群，
有空就会玩。
网络现在很发达嘛，他们有时候都会给我一些留言啊，自己内心就会觉得有点真的会被打击到。
身体起来的时候，我就会变得很焦虑、很敏感，就是大家会给我一个标签，都说我音不准，或是可以避 麦嘛什么，自信心直接下降。
他发那一个留言的时候，我就很伤心啊，我哭了3天2夜，我觉得感觉自己不够好。
我们来听听别人是怎么形容你的。
你看完以后，你觉得他怎么样？
他比我努力，就是他很努力的去练习，跳舞气势很强的女生。
好害羞哦。
他声音很好听哎，心脏暴击。
他非常有自信，
散发光芒那种。
大家眼中我不是我想象的，就是我可能很不好，我还是一个可以有成功机会的人。
我还是做好我自己该做的，就是一定要先相信自己。
我要继续做我自己，我自己就是潮流。
我一定可以用歌声感动更多的人。
我相信我能打赢人生中每一场球赛。
相信我未来一定可以当太空人。
我数学一定可以考到90分。我就是很棒。
只要我想要，没有做不到。
女生做自己，好自在，好自在卫生棉，让你舒适自在做自己。
Okay, so just more than providing superior products to serve the girls' need, to serve every woman's need, but we also want to leverage our the brand power, the influence power to further empower, encourage more girls to be themselves, authentic self, instead of being impacted or influenced by the negative comments on social media. So social media could be a very useful platform. However, it could also damage or impact the girls' confidence, especially during their puberty. Next slide. Okay, so another program that we are doing right now in Taiwan is Imperial Poverty. Actually, this campaign started a few years ago globally. Because we understand that especially during the pandemic, many underprivileged families, they are impacted because of the pandemic. So some of the girls they didn't have the access to those sanitary pads. So during that few years, starting from few years ago, Whisper and Always, they collaborated with the local retailers and also the consumers, that whenever the consumer buy 1 pack of the sanitary pad, we will donate 1 pad to the partnering NGO. So in Taiwan, next slide. Okay, so in Taiwan, also over the past 3 years, we noticed that there are so many underprivileged families in Taiwan. They are also facing the same issue as the globe. So we partner with the NGO, which is called the Little Ray, which is the first ever NGO in Taiwan advocating for the period, to stop the period shaming, the stigma, and also the imperial poverty issue. So this is the first NGO that we partner with them. So we donate the products with them through the joint efforts with our retailer. So every 2 months, their social workers will bring all the donated pads into the underprivileged households, and also provide education to the young girls and females to help them. And in addition to that, we also collaborated with the top celebrity in Taiwan. So we use the social media to leverage the celebrities' influence to further advocate for the imperial poverty campaign in Taiwan. Okay, next slide.
以前最常被贴的小标签就是“哎呀，你真是个小外星”。
And for this year, it's definitely our pleasure to partner with the Garden of Hope, because this year we are also launching another girls' confidence empowerment campaign with the Garden of Hope. So the girl that you see on the screen is another celebrity, a top celebrity that we are leveraging this year. So through her endorsement and her empowerment and encouragement to all the girls, that we want to encourage all the girls to be themselves, instead of being limited because of the social limitation, gender stereotype, or other typical labels or tags to the girls. So this is our sharing of what we have done over the past 2 to 3 years to empower a girl and women's confidence. Next slide. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation, and this is my email. So if you have any comments or feedback that you would want to share with me, I'm happy to further connect with you. So thank you very much.
Oh. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for a wonderful presentation. And to all the audience, we would like to gently remind you the chat box is available now. So if you have any questions, please leave your questions in the chat box, and we will move on to the Q&A session later. Thank you so much for your patience. And now let's welcome Cindy. Cindy, could you please wave hands to everyone? Thank you. It's super early for you. I'm so glad you look just wonderful. Thank you so much for everything. And now Cindy is our final speaker. So she's the head of women's safety at Meta, and she has worked to end violence against women for over 25 years at international, national, state, and local advocacy organizations. She focuses on empowering women to connect online and combating issues such as non-consensual sharing of intimate images that disproportionately impact women. Prior to joining Meta, she was the executive vice president at the U.S. National Network to End Domestic Violence and founder of the Safety Net Technology Project. So let's welcome Cindy. There you go.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be part of a panel with so many youth experts and a few older folks like myself who have so much to learn from you. And I just want to say that I have the same fire for social justice that I had when I was a teenager 35 years ago. I could say that I have greater reach now, that I have maybe a spiffier title, but I don't think so, because young people with social media can have incredible reach. Youth influencers can reach thousands, if not millions of people and share their creative ideas with a very large audience and not be limited by what used to be. You had to have a big title, you had to be high up in an organization, you had to use official media, print newspapers, television. And now with social media, you can get your ideas very, very far. And so I'm so excited about the power of harnessing technology and social media to make social change. And I believe that we're doing this in partnership with young leaders. And so I am not here to give advice. I'm here to learn and do this in partnership. And since starting this work over about 30 years ago, working to end gender-based violence, change norms, empower women, and focus on harnessing technology and holding offenders accountable, my first part of my career was working in the nonprofit NGO sector. And I specialized in the technology intersection with gender-based violence and how to really get technology in the hands of women. And I worked very closely with many different technology companies. I sat on the safety advisory boards and safety advisory councils of all the big companies and then all the startups. And I saw firsthand, especially around intimate image abuse, the work that Facebook, now Meta, was doing. And I came inside the company in July of 2020 to lead some of that work. And I'm very proud, especially around intimate image abuse, of the work that we're doing. And one of my favorite parts of my job is that I get to continue to work with the NGO sector. And so I'm happy to be with you, even though I did get up at 4:30 this morning. So if I trip over my words, please bear with me. And I've had a lot of coffee, so I will try to go slowly for the interpreter. So thank you so much for interpreting and making this presentation accessible to everyone. So what I want to briefly mention is that we take a comprehensive approach to our safety, but also, for me, safety is not just the absence of harm. It is truly a way of thinking about inclusion and well-being. For me, I don't want to live in a world where I'm just not hurt. I want to live in a world where I am welcomed and that I feel empowered and equal. And so with that, we look at this comprehensively by making sure we have the right partners at the table and the experts, because we cannot be expert in all things. So we work with so the comprehensive approach looks at partners, policies, tools, resources, and then feedback. So it's conversations like this at 4 a.m, 5 a.m, it doesn't matter. It's important that we talk to the right people. So first, partners. We work with over 850 partners, just my team alone. The company as a whole works with many more than that, of course. But our safety policy team that I'm on works with over 850, and about half of those focus on gender and gender equality and safety. And one small group is the Global Women's Safety Expert Advisors, and over 7 of those are based out of APAC, the Asia Pacific region. And one of them is a phenomenal youth advisor. Her work is known by many of you, Maria Dorothy Rosario from the Philippines. She was leading the gender-based violence efforts for UNCSW when she was like 14. She's now 19 and she's still doing phenomenal work. Policies, just an example of some of the work that we've done there. In the past year and a half, we've made some major changes around mass and coordinated harassment. And it's still an ongoing, one of the things about our policies, and I've seen this since I started working with the company in 2009 in my nonprofit life, is policies are constantly changing, because the world is constantly changing. And so we're working on addressing mass and coordinated harassment, because we know that this is an area that is constantly evolving. And it's complicated, because what can look like coordinated harassment can also be social change. So our computers might see #MeToo, and it has the same footprint as coordinated harassment. It's a viral campaign, but the same type of behavior from the back end could be an attack. So we have to train the computer to say, no, this is actually amazing. This is not coordinated harassment. So it is complicated. And even if somebody is reaching out when there's a coup in a country and going to, say, the US Embassy, they might be tagging the US Embassy reaching out for help. Again, that's not coordinated harassment, that's coordinated calls for help. So we're working to make sure that the policy and the signals we train to alert our human reviewers. It's not the human reviewers are just tagged to say, hey, look into this, that we're not over indexing and pulling our reviewers in when it's actually not harm, or we're pulling them in to say, look into this. So as you can imagine, it's complicated. One of the other things around policies that I'm deeply interested in and working on is around sexual harassment and harassment based on appearance. And I came in thinking, oh, this, what we know as gendered harassment is simple. It's sexism, it's misogyny, it's attacks based on appearance. Let's just take it all down. And what I heard from human rights defenders, especially in countries where there's pretty horrific dictators, is that what we consider a sexist attack on a woman, the same language might be used against a male politician who is a dictator, and the same words might be used against a male, and it's used to critique a male in power, and it has a different impact. But they want to preserve the right to say those things because it's about challenging power. I'm like, okay. I didn't expect that. So that was new to me. And, talking to human rights defender experts, all right, let's go back to the drawing board. How do we get at disparate impact and gendered language in a global policy? So we're not giving up. It's just, it makes it more complicated. So that's policies, tools. One of the things that I'm really excited about is we know from all of our work as activists is that gender-based violence occurs in many cases because it can, and it's condoned by silence. And which is why, Ring the Bell, I've followed that, Breakthrough's work for over a decade. They were given an award back, I think, in 2012. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing program. So silence alone often condones it. So wherever we can, speaking out, speaking up is so important. One of the things that's happening on both Facebook and Instagram is when someone starts to type a comment that could be offensive and has been reported as offensive by other people, a warning screen pops up and tells someone that, hey, what you're typing, your comment has been reported by others as harmful. Do you want to edit it or delete it? And what we found in 1 week is that 50% of the people either edited or deleted their message or their post. And what's really exciting for me is that's social change, that's cultural change, that's behavior change. And so how can we continue to partner with our NGO partners, our experts, to use technology to do that cultural shift? And it's as simple as a warning screen, but we're seeing behavior change. And then another one that I think is really exciting for just everyday use, for just managing people in your life and on Instagram or Facebook, but it was born from talking to domestic violence advocates like myself in my nonprofit life, was one of the things we said when I was working at the National Network to End Domestic Violence is blocking your ex, your abusive ex-partner, is problematic sometimes. It's too severe. Many survivors of domestic violence need to keep an eye on their ex. They need to see what they're posting, to see if their behavior is escalating, to see if their language is escalating. Are they getting more violent in their language? Are they getting more severe? And if you block someone, you never see anything they post, even, through third parties, through mutual friends. And so, I got this call out of the blue years ago from my colleague Karuna, who's now, but she was working at the company and I was not. And she said, "We heard you, and we've created this this option called Restrict, where you can put someone in this sort of kind of timeout, where they don't know they've been put in this this role called Restrict, but they don't." So then what happens is you don't have to see their messages. They sort of go into a separate inbox and you can look at it when you want to. So you see it, but the other person doesn't know it. And the beauty is it's there if you do need it for, say, going in to get a protection order and you need the evidence. So you still have all of the back and forth, but it's in a sort of a spam mailbox. And the other person doesn't know that you put them over here. And it can also be used just if you've got an annoying friend who, constantly messages, you can put them over here in that spam box. So it doesn't have to be an abusive ex-partner. But what was really exciting for me as a domestic violence victim advocate is that the company heard us and they made a tool or a feature based on that feedback to help survivors of abuse and just everyday people who had annoying friends, or, your mother who sometimes comments on everything like, "Mom, stop it." So it's a great feature. But for me, it was really the message that the company listens. And we do very much. So when you tell us things, we file it away. And then I go talk to engineers and I'm like, "Can we do this? How would this work?" And when we hash through it. And then another tool, as we're in that tools feature that I'm talking about, is you can hide offensive comments. You can just say, "You know what? I want to hide offensive comments, things that that don't rise to violating a community standard, but just generally, can you just hide this?" Or what is, even more challenging is things that are offensive because of context. I was talking to this incredible athlete. She's a Paralympian. And she said one of the subtle ways to dig at her is to say she should be in the kitchen. She shouldn't be this incredibly fierce athlete. And to make subtle comments about kitchens. She should be in the kitchen, to use kitchen emojis. But as a company, we can't ban all discussions of kitchens, because what if I'm renovating my kitchen, which I would love to, but I can't afford it. But you can't ban all kitchen emojis, all forks, knives, and plates, and discussions of kitchens. But on her Instagram page, she's chosen to use the manual filter and to just completely any discussion of kitchen emojis, food emojis, it's just not going to ever show up on our IG page because she has no interest in it. She's a swimmer. She is a badass swimmer, and that's what she wants to discuss on her IG page, and that's fabulous. So that's where some of the filter tools work when context is really important, and it's hard to get at a global scale because it's really specific to her situation. And it doesn't take the responsibility off us to get at the blatant stuff, but it's really hard when we know that misogyny can really sort of get at it in a subtle way where, you know, kitchens for a swimmer is really hard to get to at scale because it's subtle. And I might renovate my kitchen someday. So the fourth pillar is resources. And later today, we are going to be launching our revamped Facebook Safety Center. It's not quite live yet, but it will be. So if you go to fb.com/safety, our safety center will be moving to meta.com. And so you'll see it, it'll look really spiffy. It's just, I'm really excited about the work we've put into it. It's the same content, same safety guides, same videos, but it's all refreshed. We've got some new resources and tools we're showcasing. We're still showcasing our partners, so stopncii.org that we built, that many of you already know about, but it's really phenomenal proactive tool so that if you can't sleep at night because you're worried that your intimate images or videos might show up on Facebook or Instagram, and now this is a global tool and it's done in partnership across industry. It's also TikTok, Bumble, and very soon you'll be hearing about some other partners that are coming on board. And just very recently, NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, have launched a sister project for young people who have intimate images or videos in the content. If you're under 18 in the content, you can't use stopncii.org, but you can use Take It Down through NCMEC, and it's cross-linked with stopncii.org. So you'll be able to use Take It Down through NCMEC or stopncii.org if you're over 18 in the image. So no matter your age, you can use a proactive hashing tool to prevent your images from being shared online. And then Lila.help is also linked in there, and that's an online directory of helplines and local NGO specialist services for gender-based violence. And both of those are going to be showcased this week in New York City at a special reception celebrating women in technology. And so if you're going to be in New York, or you know people are heading to the UN Commission on the Status of Women on Thursday night, we're going to be hosting a special reception called Power Up at our offices in New York City. And the link, Duke's going to place it in the chat. It's powerupreception.splashthat.com. Feel free to share it with people heading to New York. I know the years that I couldn't make it to UNCSW, I was super envious of everyone heading there. You'll make it there some year, if not this year. But we'd love to see anyone who's heading to New York at the reception. There's no speeches, no formal program, just demonstrations of stopncii.org, Lila.help, and then our VR headsets and our new revamped safety center. We'll be showing that in addition. So I am going to wrap up here because I know there's questions coming in through the Q&A, and I want to make sure there's plenty of time for discussion. And I really want to make sure that the young people have time to answer, because this is really all about youth and youth leaders. And that's where I want to be spending our time, is hearing more from them. So thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honored to be part of a presentation with youth leaders who are changing the world. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Cindy. And yes, we have seen lots of questions from the audience. And so may I invite all the speakers to turn on your camera so we can all see you, because we have received lots of questions. And I want to ask you, like, I will start by the question to all the speakers. So first, to all the speakers, and I think we'll just answer in turns. In general, do you think social media has done largely more good than harm in improving gender equality? So I think let's start by inside our team. Are you ready, or do you want me to move on to the other speaker first? Andre, can you hear me?
Oh, can you speak? Repeat
sorry.
the question, please.
Sorry. So we have received questions to all the speakers. So in general, do you think social media has done largely more good than harm in improving gender equality?
Well, I think it has done a lot of good side and good effects to the whole this gender equality thing, because especially in my country, like the older people, older generations have this very strict and traditional view, especially forward to the gender issue. And since the 2020, and a lot of younger generations realize that and stand up for to the older generations and help them to understand and realize about the LGBTQ and gender education and how everyone is should be normalized, and all these things to just by social media and have this content making. So I think social media has done a lot of good things to this gender equality thing.
Thank you so much, Andre. So I think we can move to Asta. Asta, do you need me to repeat the question, or do you already have the answer to the question?
I think I agree with the previous speaker, because in the context of Nepal also, we have a lot of youths who are consumer of the social media, and also the people of other age group are the consumers of social media. And then the movements here, the protests that we do, it is initiated, ignited, and executed by the use of social media, largely by Facebook and Twitter, TikTok. So I think there are some drawbacks to it, but we cannot deny the exceptional benefits.
Thank you. So I think the next one, Siapik. Siapik, what's your opinion to this question?
I mean, there's the good and the bad. So I highlight the good first. So I think in terms of my organization framework, we are highlighting the lived reality of the experience of women. So what I mean by that is we are constantly highlighting the issues that the Muslim women struggle, especially for my work, we are highlighting the difficulties in terms of access of justice in the Sharia court. So these women oftentimes have no resources or financial capabilities to take their cases, to bring their cases to the Sharia court. So I think from our side for social Islam, it's good because we are constantly reminding people this issue is still ongoing. So we are constantly reminding our audience and also the young people at different age, different age group, that the problems that these women are facing are affecting all the women at different age levels. So I think that's the good part. Okay, the bad part is that when we, for example, I think in terms of the campaign that is called the FGM, the female genital mutilations, the bad thing is that there are these types of movement or certain conservative or traditional who are against our opinion, saying that they are for FGM. So for us, I think it's, in the end of the day, it's the choice that you make. For us, it doesn't, we are presenting a view that the practice are no longer beneficial to the women, but the other sides or other certain types of movement per se, they are saying that we are, I would say, not correct, or we are somehow manipulating the audience. So I think those are the good and the bad of the social media campaign that we often face.
Thank you so much, Siapik. And then I think we can move to Tripani. Tripani, what's your opinion on that question?
Hi, thank you for the question. I feel like media plays a very important role in all of our life, like given how we think, what we buy, and specifically social media. It has, I think, more than the backlashes. What we also need to see, the the movement or the group we are able to create, the digital movement and social media movement we're able to form given the powerful use of social media. And I'd like to share one example, which I also shared in the presentation today. It's about our campaign, Ring the Bell, which we created 2 pieces during the campaign, and the Indian, version of the films that went viral on social media and other platforms, and that's how it was also adapted by, the films were adapted in China also, and they had their own, pieces on domestic violence that talks about, public's intervention, specifically if you see violence within your surroundings and, homes. So yeah, it's a boon for us who work in the development space for sure.
Thank you so much. So Vanessa, how do you think about this question?
I think for Taiwan, basically the whole society is a more inclusive one. So I think we are facing less challenges as other markets in Asia. So I believe that social media is still a very effective tool for us to advocate for the gender equality or to address different gender issues. So I think, yes, in Taiwan, it's definitely doing more good than the bad. But of course, there are opportunity for us to move on, and there are always some issues that we haven't addressed. And there's still a long way to go for all of us to work on that hand in hands.
Thank you so much. So Cindy, what's your opinion?
I think I addressed this in my remarks, but I think there's always room for improvement, but it gives voice to people that otherwise might not have voice.
Because we have received lots of questions, we only have 10 minutes left for Q&A, but we will try to bring out all the questions for speakers. And to our audience, if you still have questions, please just leave the questions on the chat box, and we'll try to get back to you after the session. So no worries at all. And I think I've seen a really good question. That's what I'm wondering as well. So how do you handle backlashes on topics like gender equality when it is highly opinionated topics while conducting this amazing social media campaign? So I think we can shorten the question to how do you handle backlashes? Because it is definitely an important topic we need to address when using social media during your campaign. So I'm not going to point out anyone. So to our speakers, if you want to answer this question, please raise your hand. Really? So then I'm afraid I probably need to ask someone. I think it's Xiaofei. Wow, great. Thank you.
Okay, in terms of backlash, our organization has been not synonymous, but we oftentimes, when we do speak about something, there's always comments who currently not always related to the things that we say, but it's always there's always the issues that us being a little bit controversial about the certain scholarly opinion has been put up against us, and against us, saying that we are liberalism in a way. So I think in terms of backlashes, how do we handle them? First of all, I think we always stick to the values of our organization. That is, we always fight for the women who can speak for themselves. So in terms of focusing on terms of the backlash, okay, we do read the comments outside. Maybe there are certain you can appreciate if it's just like a troll comment or a constructive criticism. We do take into account to that as well. But in terms of our backlashes, we don't really engage with them. So we oftentimes this is what they have to say. Do we always improve on how we can better deliver the information as the simplest possible? Maybe there are always certain languages that they feel like, oh, this is too it's not appropriate for this type of ages or type of content. So we always try to modify our information, our social media campaigns towards a certain type of group that we want to advocate towards against. So yeah.
Thanks so much, David. And I feel like is Tribani still here? I have seen few questions to you. So if you're still online, could you please show up? Okay.
I think I've responded to the 2 questions that was being addressed to me. I'm just checking like if there are any more.
Yeah, but do you mind if I ask this one, because I'm really interested in these questions as well. So like
the one that you asked, Siofik?
No, not the same one. I've seen the question directly to you. So what are your plans to reach out to more rural areas of India where from experiences it's more difficult to speak up? So what are your strategies to handle in these places?
So breakthroughs intervention areas, if I have to share the 6 states that we work on, we basically work in the rural communities. Other than Delhi, where I put up, rest of the states we work in the communities where we basically work on a social ecological model where we if our main focus is on adolescents, we also bring in, the conversation with their parents, their teachers, anyone who will inspire change in them, right? So, and then we also have this program called, which is basically a gender-sensitive, curriculum, mainly for age 10 to 14 years of age, wherein we talk about, gender discrimination. So these are subtle conversations that we engage with adolescents in schools. And that has been part of the curriculum in schools, this Taro Kitoli. It's called Taro Kitoli. It has been adapted in Punjab and 2 states in India. And we are, it has been rolled out, and through teachers, we are aiming to bring in those change in gender attitudes and behavior. So that's how we are trying to bring in this voices from the ground, specifically young girls from the communities. I hope I'm being able to answer to the question, so not sure.
Oh, thank you so much. I think that's a really great answer. I hope answer the person who has posed that question. And I have another question for Yuwa. So Asta, what have been the most effective mechanisms to control misinformation? So no worries, feel free. You don't have to answer this out right away. But I think that's the question from audience, because we have seen that you have used a lot of social network platforms. So maybe that's a question people want to ask. And what are your strategies?
Okay. Thank you for the question. The issue of misinformation has been prevalent throughout the country itself. Our country also legislated the media bill. So there is this thing. And first of all, at Yuva, we verify the source, we check the facts. And then we put up this post where there is myths and facts. So we bust the myths. We make the videos about what is the reality and what is the truth and what is being prevalent, the message that is going on in the social media platform. And we use hashtags, and we use a lot of alls. We have a community, we have staffs, we have members, we have executive boards, and we have all the stakeholders, volunteers, interns at UVA. So we have a community of youths at UVA. So all of us share it from different social media platforms, repost it, post it, and the engagement gets high. We even promote some posts busting these myths. And also another thing is reporting. Of course, we urge people to report the issues to the concerned companies. So that's how we do it. And yes.
Thank you so much, Asta. And I've seen a question for all speakers, which I consider it is difficult, but I would like to ask a question to all the speakers and want to know how you think about this question. So what is the language you use to enable and empower women and girls who go through such traumas to reveal their challenges, emotions? Could you mention some key principles around them or resources that can be helpful? So I will just make that open to all the speakers. And yeah, if anybody wants to answer that question, please do. Thank you so much. Okay, maybe I don't think we have to answer that question right away because we are running out of time. But before we move to the next session, I would want to make this space open to the speakers. Do you have questions for all the presentation we have listened today? Because I think this is such a valuable opportunity that we can exchange with each other that what we are doing to support gender equality. So if you have any question to other speakers or the presentation, please do, because we have only like 2 minutes left for this session now. Please cherish this opportunity. Is there anyone?
Hi, my question is to say, sorry, I don't know, my video keep glitching. Okay, so you mentioned about when you work in your NGO.
I think Xiaofei, I think you can turn off your camera and just you can just speak and you don't have to turn on your camera. Oops. Or can you type on the chat box for your question? Oops. I'm afraid we lose our speaker. But no worries. I think the internet is not always very stable. So, and since that we are already running out of time for Q&A, but please, all the audience, if you have questions, please leave on the chat box. We'll try to deliver to all the speakers. And now, I would like to, about to come to a closure part. Please give us some time. I would like to invite Ingrid from the Garden Hall. She's our supervisor, and she's going to introduce some updates of Asian Girls Campaign because this session is part of the events that we are doing. So Ingrid, if you are here, are you ready?
Hi everyone, this is Ingrid from Garden Hall Foundation. Thank you, Patty, for your introduction. And thanks very much for all of your participation today, which means a lot to us. I hope that all of you enjoy this event as much as I did. Now my heart is full of all these inspiring and amazing practice. I hope that what we have learned today will stay with us when we return to our work, motivating us to take action online and continue to advocate for girls' futures. So for the past 35 years, the Garden Hall Foundation has been dedicated to creating a world free from gender-based violence. And we believe that empowering girls is fundamental to end violence. That's why we united with girl-centered organizations across Asia and initiated the Asian Girls Campaign in 2011. The campaign has encouraged numerous Asian girls to boldly voice their thoughts and take part in public affairs. This year, after the 10th anniversary of the Asian Girls Campaign, we'll take a step further to support Asian girls to implement their plans in local communities. For Asian girls who have a plan with a vision to change their communities and achieve sustainability, will provide sufficient training and resources to help them realize their dreams. So more information will be released on our website and Facebook page in early April. And please share it to girl leaders you know that have the passion and courage to make a change. So thank you again for your attention. I look forward to working with you in the near future. Thank you. And now I'm going back, hand it over to Patty again.
Okay. Thanks, Ingrid. Well, we are supposed to come to a closure, but our speakers has tried really hard to reach out to us. So Xiaofei has a question to ask Cindy. that how NGOs can use technology to better advocate a better and safe space for discussion on gender equality. Cindy, do you want to answer that question?
Oh, that's a long answer, but
I know. And but Steffi has tried really hard to get back to us.
So because she worked so hard to get the question, I will say, use all the tools. I think when I was working at the National Network to End Domestic Violence, we had a very robust social media presence across many platforms. And I do think that you don't have to be on every platform. That's a lot of work. And depending on how large your staff is, that may be too many. It's okay to be on 1 or 2 platforms. Sometimes you can't do all of them. It's just too much for your staff size. It's better to be on 1 or 2 and do it well and make sure that you watch for engagement, because when people reach out to you, you want to be able to engage with them. So it's better to do 1 or 2 well than try to be on 5 or 10 and not engage with your audience. But one thing that we chose to do, and there isn't, I don't think, a right answer, is that when we got backlash, we chose to hide comments instead of delete, because when we deleted, it fired up the I called them abuser rights versus men's rights, because they weren't advocating for men, they were advocating for abusers. But if we deleted them, they came back with extra force. If we hid their comments, they still felt very proud of themselves because they could see their comments, but no one else could. And so we chose, it was the NNEDV policy, to hide, not delete, unless they made a threat. If they threatened, we reported and deleted, of course. But if they were just borderline sexist, we hid. But every organization has to have their own policy, and that was the NNEDV approach. But my recommendation is to pick 1 or 2 platforms and engage with your audience. And it's amazing what magic happens when you do that. You can really reach a phenomenal group of people and make change when you do that. So thank you so much for joining and asking me to join you today. It's really an honor to be with you all.
Thank you so much, Cindy. And I think that's a wonderful closure of our session today. I could not make a better conclusion than that. And I think that's such a useful suggestion to all of us. And now our session has officially come to a closure. We would like to thank everyone again for attending today's CSW session on social media movements to change aging girls' future. You can see now my colleague is going to share a questionnaire link on the chat box. Please fill out the form and share your thoughts with us. If you have further questions regarding the topic today, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we will be happy to assist you from there. Thank you so much, and I wish everybody a wonderful night, afternoon, or morning. Thank you again, and please check out the chat box for the link. We'll stay here for 3 more minutes, and if you have more questions, you can fill out in the chat box, and we'll try to transfer that to the speakers. And all the speakers, thank you so much for today. I know everybody's so busy during the CSW session, and you guys have a lot to do. So I'd just like to thank you on behalf of Garden Hope Foundation. Thank you so much. And please fill out the form. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.